Look, it's well established that strength training builds muscle, helps you burn body fat, sculpts your body, makes you stronger. But here's something a lot of people don't know. It's the best form of exercise for, you ready? Your skin. They've actually done studies to improve the health of your skin, to give you more of a youthful look to your skin. In head-to-head comparison, strength training is supreme. So just one more reason why you should lift weights.
Okay, so explain the science behind that. Does it have something to do with your glycogen stores? Does it have something to do with oxygen in the skin? Like, what is it that strength training does? Because I know that, like, isn't the opposite true, Sal, with like marathon running, extended running?
Like the oxidative stress, you kind of see that.
There's like so overtraining is bad for your skin, regardless of the kind of exercise you're doing. And that's, I think, what we typically see.
Stress.
With marathon runners, stuff like that.
So that's why that is.
Yes. So
what is it that makes it?
Well, I'll tell you. So they did a specific study, in fact, on this. And now other studies have shown this as well, so they compared cardio to strength training and head-to-head. And they found that both forms of exercise boosted skin's elasticity, so its ability to bounce back into shape after being stretched. It also both of them bolstered the expression of collagen-producing genes. They also increased the dermis extracellular matrix. This is the collagen and elastic fibers networks that tends to deteriorate from aging. But strength training did something else that the cardio group didn't see. People who lift weights also thickened their dermal layer. So when you're younger, you have a thicker dermal layer. It gives you that nice kind of youthful look.
Yeah.
Strength training did that. The other forms of exercise did not. Now, my theory, because they don't explain why, they just know that, and by the way, thicker dermal layer means less sagging, less pigmented spots. Essentially, it's a youthful look, okay? And they really didn't know why. They just saw that strength training did this. But I have a theory, and the theory is that because strength training is pro-tissue, it's pro-protein, and collagen is a protein, it's pro-protein synthesis, I should say, that it's going to send a acute signal to the areas that you train. So you work out your legs, most of the signal goes to building your legs, but we've seen this in other body parts. There is a systemic signal that goes throughout the whole body. And we've seen this, right? If you train your right arm only, most of the strength gains will go to your right arm, but some strength gains go to the left arm, which is kind of weird. And they've done studies on this. So I think there's a systemic building or protein synthesis effect that goes throughout the whole body, which extends to the skin because the skin is made up of proteins.
It needs that right stimulus, that right stress signal to promote that. And you see, because even if you go in to get like skin treatments, right? What do? They like put needles in there and they try and stress it.
Yes.
To get that kind of a response where you're, so I don't know if that's like a stem cell, like a signaler where it's like everything kind of goes back into the rebuilding. But I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me why like lifting weights would promote a better, healthier skin.
Now, how does it hold up, Sal? So we work with a couple skincare companies or companies that specialize in skincare, right? Taking care of the company or taking care of your skin. How does it hold up to products like that are designed to be better for your skin that you're putting on your face or wiping? Like, how does strength training rival that? Does it complement that?
Because nothing's going to make your skin look healthier than having good health, and exercise is part of that. So there's no skin product that's going to be able to replace being healthy. However, if you are doing everything right, and then you add, for example, Cierra is a company we work with, and they have skincare products that are peptide based. Like one of them has GHKCU, which I've talked about in the podcast. There's another one, I can't remember the peptide that's in it. So one's a blue bottle, one's a clear bottle. I mean, you use those and you notice 24 to 40 hours. You can see on your skin. Now, they're not going to replace being healthy. But in combination with being healthy, you'll notice a difference. And those two are very, very effective in that sense. But again, going back to strength training, those of us who've worked in gyms for years, so anybody watching or listening who's managed a gym or worked in gyms for years and years and years, you've seen this. Yeah. You've seen the skin on people who lift weights consistently versus the people that just do tons of other exercise consistently. They look younger. Yeah. As they age, they look younger. The youngest looking, most youthful looking people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s were the ones that focused on strength training, always across the board. It was not the ones that focused on other forms of exercise. Now, to be clear, the ones that focused on other forms of exercise still did far better than their peers who did nothing. But in head-to-head comparison, just the skin alone, you could see it. They just looked younger. And now we have data to support, what's going on. It's this extra thing that strength training does that other forms of exercise don't do. So if you want that like youthful, non-saggy look to your skin, lift weights. Now, I remember as a trainer, I would notice this in my older clients. I didn't understand that it was the skin. I thought it was the muscle filling out underneath the skin.
That's how I would explain it.
That's what I used to think.
Yeah.
But it looks like there's something also specifically happening to the skin from the strength training itself. Now, the cool thing about this is, you can extend this to any part of the body that requires some anabolic effect. So we know that it builds bone. We know that it's pro-neurogenesis. It's like pro-building and rejuvenating. Strength training tends to send that build signal, whereas other forms of exercise can improve health, which is good for that, but it's not a direct, like if you do lots of cardio or lots of Pilates or lots of yoga or lots of swimming, you're not directly sending this like anabolic build signal, whereas strength training does that.
Strength training, it seems to be the most resilient towards stress. So it's like you're building your body up, like more muscles. I feel like even just that look, you see the difference between your runners and people that are like maybe overdoing it and overstressed versus like someone that's more muscular, more healthy. They just look a lot more able to handle that volume of stress.
Now, have your guys' wives adopted the GHK? Because that's become like a religious thing for Katrina. She absolutely,
yes. Oh yeah, bro. We fight over it.
Definitely on it.
Yeah, that's Katrina loves that.
She uses both the blue one and the clear one.
Yeah,
and then she's actually bought some because we get some from them for us. So rather than giving hers away, she'll buy some for her friends as gifts. Yeah. Or if people come over, she'll have them try it.
Because they've used a lot. I mean, she's used a lot of like skincare products and
that's why I asked. I know all the wives are into that.
I mean, it's such a difference for her. Like that must be the factor.
It is,
in terms of differentiating.
I wonder. It'd be interesting, Doug, to look that up. Like the profit-wise, money-wise in the skincare, that's a very
huge market.
Huge. And seeing how I like the difference that I've seen in the GHK, especially on her face and stuff, I'm curious to like how big of a opportunity that space is. Is it like billions, hundreds of millions?
Like
I'm sure it's billions.
You think billions?
It's got to be.
I believe so. Yeah.
You know how expensive some of those products are?
Yeah, and interesting to see how much the peptides.
Well, so they compare GHKCU to the leading kind of standard. So what you'll see typically in skincare products as one of the leading ingredients is retinol A. You guys have heard retinol A, right? You've seen that?
Yep.
And that's been shown in studies that have positive effects.
Yeah.
In head-to-head comparison, GHKCU crushes it.
So, Sal, do you understand did you get it, Doug?
Yeah, 109 billion.
Wow. Whoa. Wow.
Yeah.
Huge. What is the difference between the injectable GHKCU versus the cream that you rub on?
I mean, so when you inject it, you're getting kind of the systemic effect throughout the body, which is pro-skin rejuvenation, anti-UV damage. So like if you're getting a sunburn, it is like a miracle. Like I told you guys my experience. It's wild. It takes away.
I gotta try that.
It is wild. Like it's nothing I've ever used before.
Okay.
For something like that. So it's anti-damage, pro-rejuvenation, pro-hair growth. So it's also good for hair growth, hair pigmentation. So darker hair, that kind of stuff. It's a copper-sparing peptide. So sometimes like their hair can get gray or whatever because they're lacking copper. So it helps with that. So it's more systemic, but if you apply it directly on the skin, then you get that acute effect.
See it right away. That's what I was going to ask.
You see it like in 24 hours.
Like, I mean, obviously I have both at my house, and I'm asking because I recognize obviously the cream on my face or my skin and the benefits of that. I was wondering like at what point do I decide like, oh, this is where I would use the injectable, or this is where I would.
The injectable is also going to give you some neuroprotective effects. They've also examined.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so. More systemic versus like direct. There's nothing to say you can't use both. So if you're like really on this, 60-day, I'm going to really change the look of my skin.
Yeah.
Then you would probably you would go through like our partners, because you need a prescription for the injectable. So you'd go to mphormones.com, you'd get your 60-day, 90-day supply plus the cream, and then give yourself 90 days to have a big difference. But again, I want to say this, it's not going to replace diet, sleep, or exercise. Yeah. So if your skin looks bad because
always
get healthy first, obviously.
Yeah, because I'll tell you something right now, like as a trainer, the difference you see in someone's skin from something as simple as hydration is remarkable. I remember I had a client who was just chronically just didn't drink. In fact, all she had was soda, diet sodas. That's all she drank. And I had her add a few glasses of water a day, and she looked like she lost 10 years off her face within like a week from the inflammation and the puffiness just from that alone. Yeah, that's a big one, is hydration. A lot of people miss that one. Today's program giveaway on YouTube is Maps Powerlift. To enter to win, leave a comment below this video in the first 24 hours that we drop it. Subscribe to this channel and also turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comment section. Also, this month's sale, Maps Split half off, and the Sexy Athlete bundle of workout programs is also half off. You can find them both by clicking on the link at the top of the description below. All right, back to the show.
Hydration. Speaking of hydration, drinks. You guys have heard of the drink Sierra Mistt?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, so it's Pepsi owns it. It's a popular brand. You can fact check me because this is me just sharing like a clip or a reel that I saw. I saw it this morning, but I wanted to ask you guys if you'd heard about this or not. So Sierra Mistt is a drink owned by Pepsi, and supposedly there's a pretty popular influencer. Her name is Sierra Mistt, and the trademark lapsed for Pepsi, and she actually did it and got it. And they sent her a cease and desist when she's actually the one who has the rights to the trademark. Wow. Then they, I guess, supposedly offered her $10 million, and she still turned it down.
Brilliant.
Isn't that interesting? So maybe fact check me on that, Doug, to make sure that was true.
She is smart.
Yes.
I talk about the temptation to want to cash out and take the $10 million, but knowing that a brand behind...
But there's more.
Oh, yeah.
If you push.
Oh, I'm sure. Did you look up her handle too? I mean, you could probably look up on
Sierra Mistt influencer or something like that. That's her actual name.
That's her real name.
How mad would you be? You work for Pepsi, like that's your department.
I'm gonna have it.
We're losing it to an influencer.
You should, if I have another kid, I'll name him something like Pepsi Coke or something like that. Like, hey, you never know. You might be able to take advantage of
Cherry
this.
Coke. Yeah.
You ever meet someone and they'll tell you their name and you can tell right away what kind of parents they had? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like Moonfry.
Yeah,
I can see your parents were probably...
Moonbeam and Sunlight. I grew up and there was like, it was Moonbeam and Sunlight.
Siblings?
Really? Yeah. Yeah. They're siblings, and it was like what you would think. I mean, very, very hidden.
Now, is that still a trend? I feel like that was a 90s celebrity hippie trend.
Oh, they named their kid like Apple.
Yeah, weird names like that. Is that still a thing? Do you know or is it still popular for?
No,
these?
now celebrities
are weird.
Do other weird shit with their kids. they don't give them funny names anymore.
This may not be a real story.
Andrew, can you help Doug?
I think kids name themselves now in that circle.
Did you get bamboozled again, Adam?
No,
I think you may have got bamboozled.
Find her handle. Her handle is Sierra Mistt, and she did.
It's spelled differently.
Yeah, it's spelled like CIEA.
Yeah.
And 2 T's. And that she disclosed on her TikTok that she did win a legal battle over them. And,
thank you, Andrew.
Okay, that verifies, but that's what she said, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
from what I'm seeing,
I
this
don't believe
may
a girl
not be,
named Sierra Mistt.
I'm going to do a little bit more digging, actually, with the USPTO and give you better answers.
More likely to believe
let's
Mercedes or Bambi.
I thought it was a pretty fascinating story if that's true.
Don't name your kid Bambi.
Yeah.
Please don't do that, dude. That's the worst.
Yeah.
That's the worst. They actually did studies on that where the name of a person affects whether or not they get interviews or how people will perceive them, or actually can change the trajectory.
Did you see that article too? That the percentage of kids that brought their parents to an interview that were it was a much higher percentage than I would have expected.
Yeah, it was something
Excuse me?
Yeah, like 20 or 30%.
It was like 20%.
Yeah,
They brought their parents
to their first interview. Yeah,
just so it wasn't.
I'm gonna just go away. Like I'm gonna exit the building now.
what you got over there, Doug?
All right, so I went to the USPTO, which is the trademark office.
Yeah.
And it is owned by PepsiCo. Sierra Mistt, the trademark.
Okay.
So
Bro,
that's
that's
just
so
on a quick
embarrassing.
search, but yeah, it's right
So,
there.
so they own it. So maybe they tried to give her a cease and assist by using her own name, and it's her name, and so she won the case that
Maybe.
you
I
can't
don't
make
know.
me change my name.
Yeah.
Or she's lying.
You find
Or
anything,
she's
Andrew?
lying.
Basically, the trademark that they're infringing on her is that it's similar to Sierra Mistt, but she's spelt it differently forever.
And that's what her defense is.
That's
So,
her defense.
so maybe that's what it was they sent her a cease and assist because she's using Sierra Mistt, and then she's like, "That's my name. I spell it differently. You can't do it."
Yeah.
I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
Reels these days.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think she has a whole lot of influence anyway, comparatively speaking.
She got Adam to believe her.
But they actually apparently
It was actually another podcast that was, what that just highlights is like how you see it on a podcast.
The news,
yeah. So then it seems
Well, you know what's
believable.
funny?
game
about
of telephone at this point.
You know what's funny about that is that, well, it's not funny. It's just it's a trend, right? You sent us that link, Adam, that the highest converting ads on social media are podcast clips.
Yeah.
And so now what they're doing, and this I find just disgusting. Okay.
Yeah, it's super
People who
dishonest.
don't have a podcast, who fake a podcast so it looks like it's a podcast clip
Yeah.
to sell their product.
Get a nice like red curtain behind them.
I mean,
pretend you're on Joe Rogan.
What's his face did that right out the gates. He
Yes.
did that real early. He was probably one of the first people.
I can't believe they got Dr. Drew. Come on, Dr.
Whoever's
Drew.
behind V-Shred is because I know he's not the person running the
No,
show.
he's an actor. Like, I mean, it's
the
been fully.
the guys or girls or whoever own the rights to like that business are smart.
It's frustrating because it's the hardest. Social media is fake in general, period. The hardest one to fake, though, is a podcast. 'Cause you got to talk for an hour, and you got to talk for an hour week after week, and it's hard to fake. So
yeah, you reveal yourself real fast.
yeah, dude. So Instagram, you can be fake as hell forever. But
Sure.
try doing that on a podcast for years. Like at some point, people are like, you're full of shit. So when they make these fake clips, it annoys the shit out of me. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like,
I think you said this too, and it'd be interesting to see. I'm curious to see how long it lasts.
it's a trend.
Yeah, like it's a trend
All
right now, and then
advertising, yeah.
unfortunately, what will happen? It'll probably get bastardized, and so there'll be so many people that are faking it that you'll see the peak and then the downturn of it, where it's just like, oh, that's probably.
I've noticed a major uptick in people like I know that are like, I just started a podcast. I was like, wow, there's like a whole nother, it feels like a whole nother rush to start
For
right now.
sure.
And I'm like, wow, that's interesting.
It's so there's pros and cons. I'll tell you the pro for me because I'm a basketball fan. Now, like every NBA player starts his own podcast. It's like you've got a built-in audience already.
yeah.
People want to hear from you. They're being taught. I remember my buddy who was an agent.
like the new website.
I remember when he was first introducing me to some of his pro athletes, trying to get them to pay attention to what we were doing and building 8 years ago or whatever. And he's like, this is the future of athletes, is to build your own brand and everything like that. So yeah, now they all have podcasts. What's cool about it is that even though they may not become, these huge famous podcasters, they all have these intimate stories of other players.
Oh, so you get to hear.
Yeah, I've heard
that is
more.
So like as a fan, that's cool.
Yeah, I've heard more cool, like, behind the scenes, like Jordan stories that you would have never heard because it was like some bench warmer guy who played for the Wizards during the time and it's like that you probably would never have paid attention to him, but because he's got a podcast now and he's talking about a Jordan story, like it now comes up in my feed, and then I'm like watching it. I'm like, okay, this is
I've
cool.
had several friends call me who I'm not even like close with them, but they'll just call me out of the blue, and I'll get on the phone and they'll talk a little bit, and they're like, "Hey, I'm thinking about starting a podcast," and I'm always like, So
Where do I begin?
Yeah, so
I know.
okay, so why? What makes you want to do that? Whatever. And they always say the same thing. Well, I like to talk. Well, that's not a reason to start a podcast. Okay.
No.
Oh, and people always tell me I'm so funny. Like,
No, again, no.
Yes,
Yeah.
people with podcasts who do well because they're funny are professionals.
Hey,
those are comedians.
It's like the same
Even
thing as-
that's a hard one to keep up.
It's like starting an apparel business because you have 4 of your friends that say like, "Oh, that'd be a cool shirt or design."
you got good style.
and then you launch it, and none of them buy it from you. I've seen that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
for sure.
I've stopped trying to give advice. I just encourage. I'm like, yeah, go. Keep
That's
going.
me too.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll clap
Katrina gives
for
me a
them.
hard time
If they
for
make it, awesome. Like,
She's
good
like,
luck.
"Why don't you tell them the truth?" I'm like, "I'm not going to just
No,
shit on
why?
the party.
It's their dream.
I'm going to encourage them. Let them do their thing." I think it's funny when there's how much you don't, because I didn't expect this. The pressure of the lights, the recording, and
of
to
course.
feel
Of course.
not as like you would think. Oh, 3 buddies, they're just talking to each other, and then you put the cameras on.
It gets weird real fast.
It gets weird really quick, and it took a long time to forget about the lights and cameras and try and let that all dissolve. That took a lot of practice before it got comfortable, which is I think so funny because so many people, you should have the wives on, or you should do this, or add this host, and it's like, yeah, you guys think that it would be.
You guys want the lamest podcast ever? We'll set it up for you.
And that's by the way, that's not even a jab at the wives at all. Like I think our wives are brilliant and
my
smart.
wife would admit that. She's like, hey.
Katrina would too. Katrina's like, I'm no dummy. I know how awkward and weird I would be on that.
Yeah, I had my cousin came.
Oh,
he did some.
Your cousin. I'm so glad you brought it. I forgot about been wanting to talk to you about this. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no. I want to hear. I'm excited now.
Alex.
Yes.
Okay, so he is his company, Dynasty.
Yeah, he's the founder of Dynasty.
Yes, and he's done. So I recently just did Chris Nagibi's podcast.
Yes.
I went down to LA, did him. Good friend of ours.
A great show, by the way. Everybody should check it out. You did a good job on that.
Yeah.
Oh, did you watch it?
I watched some of it.
Oh yeah. So I did. I actually didn't think I did that good of a job on it, but I've been getting good.
You're
feedback.
a harsh critic of yourself.
We all. I mean, who are we all? I mean,
no, I always think I did better than I did.
That checks out.
Yeah, I did great, man.
Guys, I did awesome again.
I wasn't.
I feel like I don't know if it's me or my wife has been so critical of me for so long.
Yeah, she doesn't give you compliments.
She does not. She's just not.
Oh,
Why did you say that? You sound so stupid. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Did she say it to you like that?
Oh, no. Katrina is. Well, one thing I love about, and I know you guys are like this too, like there's no filter in our relationship. Like we keep it 100.
No, my wife will tell me too.
I think they all.
The way you said that.
Yeah, I think they all are. Maybe hypocritical. Say, hey, a little encouragement every once in a while, or maybe a white lie.
Ways.
You know what I'm saying?
I always hear the compliments about you guys from my wife. She never says anything about me.
That too.
Justin's Adam, I love that story you told.
I
got to get on a text thread with her.
Yeah. What about me?
Hype me up a little bit.
But anyways, so I was down there. Yes, the Chris Nagibi on the Higher Standard podcast. I did that episode. Check it out. Support him. I love that. I love what they're doing.
Yeah, he does
there.
a great job.
But we're on there and we're talking. Your cousin came up and he's like, "Oh yeah, Alex." He's like, "Did you see that episode?" I'm like, "Oh no, I didn't get a chance to watch it." He's like, "Oh, I felt so bad for him." So he did an interview with them.
Yeah.
And I guess they did it around 5 or 6 p.m. And he's in his like that room that he's in.
Yeah.
And so the sun goes down and so as like the podcast goes on, he has no front lighting or anything, which Doug knows without. It's just darker. Like by the end, he's like Darth Vader. He's like or Skeletor. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
the shadows and they're consuming him.
Yeah, he told me they're like technically, should we tell him? What do we do? No,
dude, I hammered him, dude. So my cousin Alex, he does a great job. He's actually great. He's a good communicator.
He does do a good job.
Great company, very, very, what's the word? Disruptive in the space. That's why we're working with them.
Yep.
But he told me he got on his podcast. I'm like, oh, cool. You went down and you met them in person? He's like, no, I did it Zoom. And I ripped him. For 30 minutes.
Oh, good for you.
I'm like, you moron.
You got an opportunity to do something like that.
First of all, like the best thing you could do is get on podcasts so you can communicate what you're doing, because what you're doing is so brilliant. But if nobody hears about it, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
And when you get on a show, always get in person if you can, especially a good show like Nagibi's.
Yeah.
Because it'll be better on the show. You'll communicate better. Like you said, better lighting, and you make better relationships.
I was just gonna say that's the part.
And so after that, he goes in person.
I mean, that to me in itself, like, I mean, that's where we've got with this podcast where we don't even like. I want to meet the person. We've made so many great relationships and connections from this business, and they're only from the people that we met in person. We do not have a long-standing relationship with anybody that we met over Zoom.
No.
Yeah. No matter how much we liked them on Zoom and how good the interview was, but people that come in and get to see you in person and shake your hand and have a conversation off air with, we always tend to build a really good relationship with it. And so not just for, hey, this is going to help promote my brand, but the value of building those types of connections and relationships is worth the flight.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I already have one with Chris, but that's even that's why I would go get on a plane and go do that. If I would have told him I'd do it on Zoom, he'd do it on Zoom, but I just think it's important.
And it's the best practice, too. It's the best practice, especially if you own a company and you're trying to hone in on your presentation of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Get there in person and practice it off. And so I told him. So now he's like, I'm going to do that.
You know, not to take a like a off tangent type.
But
of
I was going to say real quick. He came in here
real quick. I was going to just interrupt.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Fuck.
Yeah. Just had to throw
you got the plus two cards.
Plus 3.
Yeah. So no, he came in to do some short clips with me that they were going to use on their social media.
Yeah.
And you know Alex, he's charismatic. He'll talk, whatever.
Yeah.
He's got that gift. But he sat in Justin's chair we put the lights on and everything. And he's like, a couple times he stopped. He's like, this is it's more pressure.
There's a lot of weight over here.
The lights are kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of messing me up. Like, it's not as easy as
it's way different. So along those lines, that's what I was going to ask you. We've been doing this for a long time now. We're coming up on a decade in January. What are some of the biggest tips and things that you have personally learned? You've definitely spoke on more podcasts than any of us, including what we already do here. What have been like the big milestones or leaps that you have personally felt of like, oh, that got me better, or that felt like, what are some of those?
Well, there's nothing like repetition, which we learned. I mean, you learned that with working out, and we applied to the podcast here. The more, oh, there he is right there.
God.
Look at that.
And it's funny if you do the timeline. Dude. If you do the timeline of like when he started to where it's at, this is like every 10 minutes.
I can't wait.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to send this to him.
See, look at Friday's right there.
It was a good episode too.
I died. That's what they said too. They didn't want to interrupt him because he was doing so good. He's like, man, he's just a great communicator.
He is.
He was flowing really well. And he's like, so we're over here like texting each other under the off camera going like, should we say something to him? Like,
no, he looks like,
no, let him go. Let him go.
No, I was going to say repetition is good.
That's obvious.
Know what you're going in and what you want to communicate. So have an idea. Okay, I want to go. Here's something that I want to talk about, and then oftentimes you can direct the conversation even as the person being interviewed. So they'll ask you a question, you'll answer it, and then you can move to what you want to communicate, and you can get your point across. And then we practice so often on this show on how to hone what we're trying to say so that it makes sense and it's deliverable. But it's reps, dude. It's all reps. Like every time I do it, I feel better because I've done it so many times. There's really nothing else.
There's something that you've shared before that I agree, you didn't say right now, that I think was a big game changer for me. Not even just for interviews when we do them, so that even on this show, and that is getting comfortable with the pauses.
Oh yeah.
When we first started, we would all say we probably had maybe not Justin might not say this, but I would definitely say you and I would say that we had the gift of gab and, oh, no problem. We can get on the mics like a lot of people probably say when they podcast, no problem doing that. But because that may be a strength of yours in the real world, when you get on here, you don't realize how annoying that can come off of trying to fill space all the time versus allowing these, what you think are uncomfortable and awkward pauses are not awkward for the listener. And it took a long time to stretch that muscle of like getting used to that, because the cadence of conversation off air that I have is different than the way we communicate on the podcast. And that was a transition for me personally.
You know what helped me with that was watching
Peterson.
Jordan Peterson.
With his long 2-minute pauses.
He does that very well, and it keeps you at the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
And what I started to do was when I would pause, I would look in a different direction or look down. And that would remind me that I'm thinking, let me get to my next, get to my next thought.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd fill it with more words, or I'd repeat what I just said. I'd just say something and I'll say it again.
Yeah. The other thing I learned was, and I noticed this with some of the best communicators that have been on this podcast, it's half annoying, but also understand the power of it. And like, how do I, blend that into my style, which is, the best shows we've ever had, right? That somebody is like, oh my God, he was so amazing or so great, or she was so great, is the people that tell the same story.
Yeah.
And so over time, you start to learn like what story you tell well, or what thing you share, and then refining that and then kind of blending that with what you said. You go into the podcast, I know I want to communicate this. This is the type of audience I'm going into. I want to get this story out, and finding a way to almost as shoehorning it in, but not making it feel like it's forced. I think always does really well. And that, in the practicing that art of being able to do that, I think has made a big difference too.
Yeah, it's politicians are masters of that. You'll hear them repeat this thing over and over that they're trying to make into a slogan or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But it's just effective, I don't know, communication marketing, I guess. But I mean, it's like, it's funny. It's not that different from when we train clients. Like, how many times did you have to communicate fat loss to people, or getting better sleep or strength training? Like a billion times. Mm-hmm. And then you end up figuring out the most effective ways to communicate it, because you've said it so many times and you've said it so many different ways that you start to kind of hone in on what actually works, and then you repeat that as you train more and more people.
It's such a good point. And to the coaches and trainers that listen to the show that like are inspired to go start their own podcast, I would say more importantly than starting the podcast is those years of experience doing that. because it gave you those great analogies, those great metaphors. You learned what ways to communicate fat loss didn't work well, which ones hit for a lot of clients. And so the practicing of that and refining that in the real world with real people really is what everybody else gets to hear manifested in this show, is that it's like, oh, well, that's because 10 years I tried to say it this way and it never got across, or I tried to do it this way and it never worked. And so, I don't think this works without that first. And you get a lot of coaches and trainers, they're in year one, and like, I'm going to fire up a podcast and just get out there and talk about nutrition. And there's
they end up talking to other trainers.
Yes.
Is what ends up happening.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I feel the same thing too.
Whereas to the average person, the only information that's valuable to them is the information they actually apply. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how brilliant you are. It makes no difference how great your information is when you're a trainer if your client doesn't apply it.
Yeah.
So the only thing that matters is how do I get them to take action in the right way and in a way that is sustainable. That's all that matters. Nothing else matters, no matter what. So even if there's a point that you want to communicate and you can't figure out how to get them to adopt it, then don't say it until you figure it out.
Well,
otherwise,
say it how you would normally say it. Be authentic with it. Like I think where there's always a miss for me, especially as a listener of other people's podcasts or the content that's out there, is you hear a lot of terms, you hear a lot of descriptions, you hear a lot of ways that they try to describe things like Huberman or like whoever they idolize, as opposed to the way that they personally would describe it to one of their clients, or the way that they would think about it themselves. And I think for me that was a big part of it, was just like, dude, just stay who you are. Like, just say things, say dude. At first I was like, maybe I should cut that out because this is part of my vocabulary that makes me sound like a surfer idiot, and I just own it, like, forget it. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to change.
What do you think I was going to ask you, Justin, and that sounds like that's one for sure, because obviously of the three of us, you were the most resisted to doing this.
Oh yeah. The most uncomfortable.
And didn't like it. And so, and you, Sal and I have probably had the opportunity to practice it more in addition to also liking it more. So that gave us the edge. What was it for you that made you feel like, I'm very, like, obviously you're very comfortable now. We've been doing this such a long time.
Yeah.
What was it for you that made you feel that way, you think?
Yeah. I mean, reps of 100%, but it was, I think it was just like that constant, for me, it's just a refining the process. And it's just like when I was in my training career, where I started out with a clipboard and I'm writing everything down because I have to like organize my thoughts. Like, so for me, it was very much of a analytical side to the process of anything I did. Like, I wanted to be prepared and to, work on that constantly, so I didn't have to rely on this sort of method of operation. Was like, I have to say it this way. I have to communicate it in such a way that I will sound more intelligent, or I will sound like I have a more powerful point, or I will like just stop with all that noise and relax.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, because you, when I first met you, you're very comfortable with who you are, probably more so than Adam and I were. Where you're Justin. You're very comfortable with who you are. You just had to learn how to relax.
Yeah, that really is it. Yeah,
that was it.
Super uncomfortable and nervous, and that's the thing too, is I just don't talk a whole lot, like in real life. Like, so that's why this is so unnatural,
You like, do a talking job?
Yeah. So just do what you never do. Yeah, go for it. Figure it out. It was difficult.
Yeah, I love it. It's for trainers and coaches. This is so important. Like, I remember one specific moment. I remember where it was a light bulb moment for me. One of the objections that you'll get, or challenges you'll get as a trainer or coach, is the challenge of time, where the person is going to say something like, I don't know if I have enough time. This is going to be hard for me to see if I can be consistent. I have kids, I have a job, et cetera, et cetera. And the way that I was trained early on sounds logical, but then I realized that it didn't work. And the way I was trained was, you do the whole, like, we all have 24 hours in the day. How you use that time determines how much energy you have in the rest of the day. You have your kids. well, if you devote just 3 hours a week, which is only this percentage of your overall time that you're up and awake, you'll actually have more energy for your kids and you'll be a better mom, blah, 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 blah. You make this logical argument. And it makes sense, but it's not nearly as effective as simply saying this right here. Well, how much time can you realistically dedicate to this? And then their answer is fine. That's it. Yeah. 1 day a week, no problem.
You know, that's such a
that. I remember that light bulb moment went off for me. Like, where I don't care what they say. 30 minutes a week, no problem.
This is where they're at.
And then we would go from there. And almost always we'd find more time.
Do you think you would have the ability to do this if you were to map out the timeline of a coach and trainer from beginning their infancy, just starting in the space, to becoming a master coach and trainer? There's certain things along that way that they'll have as epiphanies or milestones. You think you could almost pinpoint, like I feel like when you say that right there,
you remember that? I bet
I can almost be like, oh, you're about this far in your journey. You're about right there. You know what I'm saying?
You can
like,
almost place them on a timeline.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it would be fun to create a timeline like that, because I feel like there's certain things, and by the way, this is like good trainers, good, smart, talented trainers that are, whether it's on social media, real life, doesn't matter, that have been doing it for a while, and understand a lot of the basics. I feel like you can timeline that, like, oh, okay, they understand those fundamentals, so they're definitely this far into this, they know that. Okay, they're probably right here. Oh, but they still haven't figured this out. Yeah. They're probably right around here. So like, I feel like you could timeline that, and that's an area that it stands out like a sore thumb to me on social media, because there's a lot of clips and reels.
Well, they're trying to logic people into
they math
lifestyle change.
They math them to
it's not going to work.
Math them and try and guilt them into doing more work. And it's like, wow, that's such a terrible strategy to get a client. And even if it has worked for you, it's a temporary fix. It's not a long-term fix of
temporary buy-in.
Yeah, you could guilt someone or scare them into doing some sort of behavior short-term, but to fundamentally change their life, their habits, their behaviors, that is not the process. And that's definitely always a sign of a coach or a trainer, I think, that's still earlier, I should say, in their journey.
It took me 5, 6, 7 years, something like that, a long time, to not take things out of people's diets, but add things. That was a big thing for me. It was like, I used to be the whole, like, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat this, don't eat that.
Yeah.
Then I realized later, like, well, if I tell them to eat this, they'll probably not eat this. Yeah. So let me just focus on, and psychologically it just works better. There were so many of those epiphanies in the 20 years that I worked with people, where if I look back, we were
just nagging clients, like nagging.
Yeah,
that's it.
You just lack discipline. I just need to get on top of you. It's like, no, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I just think I thought a lot of my job early on, aside from understanding the basic as far as the science and exercise.
How long did it take you to realize that you were not supposed to be a motivation expert?
Yeah, that took a while. It took like halfway.
I thought that's what I was.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a motivation expert.
That's pretty much how most trainers start, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're their own cheerleader. Like, they're trying to pump them up and keep them going.
I remember even when, 10 years, well, it's been more than 10 now when I turned Instagram on. So it's been about 11 years since I've turned Instagram on to build a fitness business around it, right? Even then, I fell into the trap of I'm guilty of looking at the landscape. This is what everybody else is doing. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. Of going back to that, of being like motivational quotes or motivational thing. And it's just like, what am I doing? Like, I know better from training people in real life. Like, I'm not that person anymore. Yet, even when I started that journey on Instagram, I reverted back to my old cheerleader trainer behaviors of like, what am I doing? Like thinking because it was getting likes and attention and shares, like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And yet I knew better that, oh no, wait a second, I know better. That's not who I am.
Definitely gets a lot of attention.
I literally right now, as we're talking, there are people in my mind who still exercise today consistently that worked with me, who I would have lost had I had that old mentality. Like, I remember one woman specifically came to me and said, I'm only working out once a week. I'm not going to work out on my own, and I'm not going to touch my diet. And my answer to her was, okay, no problem. The old version of me would have been sat down with her and try to do my, charismatic sales techniques and convince her, whatever, and I would have lost her. Now, this woman now exercises consistently, more than once a week, and her diet is radically different. But had I not just said, okay, I would have lost her, And it took me, that was a good 15 years in my career.
Yeah.
Before I figured something like that out.
Yeah.
Here's a hard transition. When I say raw dogging flights, what comes to mind? Very hard.
Hold on.
Very hard.
Raw dogging flights?
Raw dogging flights. Like, if I'm going to go raw dog a flight, like, what do you guys think that means?
With no plans, you have no plans, you have no tickets, you're just going to go try and hop on a flight.
Okay, that's a good guess, but no.
Does it have to do with the Mile High Club? But
No, not that. Either. Yeah, it's actually less. It's less
Sexual.
Sexual, yeah. It's this new trend, which is kind of hilarious. It's like an old trend if you really think about it, because like they're basically eliminating all music, all electronics, all reading, all anything, and they're just staring at the flight pattern of like moving in the air. So it's a challenge that people have created for themselves to see how long they can raw dog, like how many hours they can just sit there still and like watch the
and
flight
not do anything else.
and not do anything else.
That's interesting.
So this guy is like, he's like, I raw dogged a 16-hour flight to Australia, and he's like sitting there just like this.
So is that becoming like a viral trend or something? Is that what you're saying? Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I find most interesting? It goes back to the conversation we've been having about this,
I think people intuitively know they need a break from
Yes.
And you need to be bored because too, you need to process a lot of your thoughts
is
that are
the
like
exact point I was going to make is that there is this movement of, I think we've gone long enough now in this iPhone tech generation, right? That just grew up with the iPhone last 20 years. And we're learning like, some of the bad things that come with that. And now we're coming up with trendy, fun things to do to help challenge that, like, can you sit on a flight?
Let's make this hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
I have a great way to start that, which I've been practicing here and there, which is not taking my phone to the bathroom. Literally sit.
I've heard you say that. I don't like that one.
Of course.
I don't like that
But it's
one.
not a flight.
That's my sanctuary, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a very special time for me.
Listen.
And part of it includes scrolling.
I'm telling you, it is a great practice.
Yeah.
You leave your phone out. You go in the bathroom.
I don't like that
We all
so
did
much.
this growing up,
Hey,
man.
I don't like that so much that I would practice.
You would hold it.
The reverse. I would be like,
What?
Can't use my phone unless I'm taking a shit. You know what I'm saying? Because that's my time to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because that used to,
no phone during the day?
no phone during the day. But hey, at least when I'm in the
least
bathroom,
give
I'm allowed to use the phone.
then.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with you on that one.
Right. And so when we worked at 24-hour fitness, the joke that my friends had, now this is early on, like iPhone days, right? Because we worked all the way, we started even before iPhone. So the joke from my friends was like, if I was texting them in the middle
They
of the,
knew you were going to the
they
bathroom.
knew I was going to the bathroom because it was the only time I had my phone on me. Because when we worked in the gyms,
You're on the floor.
It was a rule. All my trainers put their phones in my drawer, including mine, and you didn't get on them and you didn't use them. That was part of our habits that we had trained. And so the only time I could text or respond to people would have been on the toilet. And so that was a joke for a long time with my friends and I. Was just like, oh, you're for sure taking a shit right now. I was like, yeah, that's when I use it.
No, I mean, look, we all grew up this way, guys. We didn't have phones or electric, nothing. What did we do? Read the shampoo bottle?
Yeah.
Or you sat there with your thoughts, or you made designs out of the tiles on the floor.
Yeah, you count the holes in the ceiling
Or something like that.
whatever, yeah.
Yeah. So try it. I'm telling you guys.
Oh no, I have because you've said it and it's miserable. It is,
but that's because it's
Again,
good.
I can tell Justin,
sanctifying.
I would discipline
write a whole
myself.
book on it.
I'd discipline myself through the rest of the day just so I could have it during that time.
I wonder if that would spark more innovation though, like if you're able to like separate yourself from distraction, let your mind really congeal and like
if you think about it from an evolutionary standpoint, okay? If we're in nature, we're out in the woods, okay, and you're like, I gotta go poop. So you go off somewhere. You're vulnerable as hell. Some animal's going to potentially catch a whiff and know that something's there. Oh, yeah. So for sure you're not distracting yourself. You ain't doing nothing but
my dogs
pooping
when they're
and
shitting. They're always looking back at me like, ooh, like,
because
you have my back. I got you, buddy.
That's what I'm saying. It's so unnatural for us to be so unaware while we're pooping.
You know what time what I have gotten really good about making sure that I put my phone away and don't have it out, and that's taken me a while to do this, but I've seen such a huge dramatic difference in an aspect of my life that I would consider should be focused on or be healthy, and that is my connection to my wife in the bedroom. It's like if I allow myself to bring say after 8 o'clock.
Once you guys go to bed.
Yeah, once we go in the room, and because a lot of that process, we shower, get bed made, maybe even watch a little bit. If I get on my phone at that time,
Yeah.
it is a night and day difference on the intimacy that we have.
Now your mind's out there.
And so simply just leaving it over there on my nightstand when maybe she's still getting in the shower and doing her thing, and I know I got 30 minutes to kill, but literally just sitting in silence and allowing my mind to wander, think about her, think about stuff like that.
So
our intimacy is on another level compared to just simply getting on there and scrolling on Instagram for 10, 15 minutes. It can be totally innocent, looking at car stuff, answering business emails, something as innocent as that. It affects my intimacy. It's weird. It is so weird what a difference
it's predictable, but it is weird. Yeah, no, Jessica and I are contemplating, no joke, getting rid of smartphones completely and just having a dial-up phone at home and not having smartphones.
You know how annoying that's going to be for us in the business.
It's not
We're going to send him stuff like, I need you to read I can't open it in my fucking flip phone.
I was supposed to do right now.
No, what I was going to do is keep this for the business and use it just for the business.
Right.
But her and I talked about it, and she's been practicing. What she's done is she'll turn her phone off, but then she needs her laptop up because it has schedule. It has you want to get something from Amazon or whatever.
Yeah.
So where we're starting at is we're just going to take our phones and put them in a drawer, which is hard enough. So I'm already realizing, oh my God, getting rid of the phone, we can't even put our phone in the drawer. So I'm trying to be, I'm trying to lead that, and I'm sucking at it.
I mean,
it's hard.
It's become a limb.
It's such a addictive thing.
It's become a limb.
Makes me mad how addictive it is.
When was the last time you guys had it? And it just happened to me the other day. And it's so funny, just the feeling I get when this happens, where I leave the house and I forgot my phone.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I got to go back. It's do I really though? I can't be without it for about an hour or whatever errands I got to run. I got to flip around. I got to flip around and go back in my phone. Really?
Oh my God.
I'm going to the grocery store. What do I do? I absolutely have to have it.
That happened to me before vacation. I forgot it and I got about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes out, on my way to the airport. And this friend of Courtney was watching her house, and she was like, I think you might want this. And then and I didn't even realize my phone was gone.
Oh, wow.
And I had to turn around and go all the way back. I'm like, it's one of those things. I almost was I would have appreciated not having it.
I know.
But at the same time, it would have I would have had a major panic.
Now I have a special consideration though with leaving without the phone. You guys know how bad my sense of direction is. I will get lost. I will get lost if I don't bring my phone. Coming to work, I'll get lost. Not because I use navigation to get here, but because if I wander off and take a wrong turn, now you guys lost me forever and you have to go search for me.
Though, that's because we've trained ourselves.
I was always this way, bro.
Really?
Oh.
Because I used to pride myself on being so directionally sound.
I'm a landmark guy. I walk out.
But I'm terrible now. I'm like you now, but I feel like I've trained that. I've made myself that guy.
No, mine was always it's always been terrible. Absolutely. I had a client actually tell me that I have dyslexia with direction. That's actually a thing. That's what she said, at least.
Makes directional dyslexia.
Something like that. Maybe you can look that up, Doug.
Is that a thing?
Or maybe she was just making me feel stupid. But I cannot.
We don't have a supplement for that? There's not something you can take? I feel like you got so many damn pills in your bag.
I'm taking so many peptides and pills that help.
There's got to be something for that. Isn't there something?
I hope. I wish. No, I don't know. Does it say anything there, Doug?
Yeah, there is directional dyslexia. Sometimes used to describe people who have difficulty with visual, spatial skills or left-right confusion.
We live in an era now where there's a diagnosis for everything.
I know.
I think there might be some left-right.
There's a diagnosis of disorder for everything.
Yeah.
You think you got something? Oh yeah, you got something. You know what I'm saying?
Restless
you can
mouth
Google
syndrome.
it. You can Google it.
Did you just say I have restless mouth syndrome?
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw more for you.
I can't stop. Yeah. By the way, are you gonna keep that mustache? It looks really good.
You like it?
Fantastic.
Good.
Fantastic.
It's one of those things.
I'm not.
But Vicky has to maintain it though, right?
Oh my God, yeah, dude. I tried shaving it myself over the break, and it got down to the skin. I was like, yeah, I looked like a predator.
Oh,
I don't know. It needs a little stubble. It needs to be groomed a certain way.
Yeah.
Because it's a little
of all of us, you look the best with the mustache.
Yikes.
Remember, Adam tried it. He looked bad.
Very bad.
I was scared.
Mine looks creepy, but whatever. We'll see what happens. Yours looks good.
Yeah.
Legit good.
I mean, yours looks good. His just looks great. Like I think
You
yours
you think mine looks good?
it does.
Really?
Yeah. You know me too. I would tell you how stupid it
I
looks
know you
sometimes.
would. You're the first person to tell me. You jump on.
I'm trying to get the Burt
I
Reynolds.
really want to make fun
We'll
of it,
see.
but as it keeps growing on me, it
You're,
looks
so,
good.
you're in a good mood. You have the happy drops earlier or something?
Yeah, the happy
going
drops.
on?
I just had Shilajit. We out of happy drops, man.
Why?
Why
They
does
don't-
everybody eat those so fast?
I feel like we eat the Shilajit just as fast. I don't feel like they're. I mean,
No, the happy
have
drops.
more of that.
The
That's
happy
why.
ones are
is that why?
Yeah.
here and gone.
Justin was double fisting the happy drops.
I'm going to blame our staff. I think our staff is.
Well, actually, all our supplements, our Organifi supplements, are being held back in the back room.
Yeah.
And Jerry has lock and key, right?
Oh, she
so
does.
if we want them, we have to ask for them.
Okay.
So every week I ask for the Shilajit, but we don't have any happy drops.
And that's so.
I say it wrong, don't I? Shilajit.
I don't know.
Shilajit,
Shilajit. I don't know.
Too
I
legit
don't
to
know.
quit.
Something like that. But, Drew said that the happy drops sell out like crazy.
Even more than the Shilajit.
He says they just blow the door. They're just crushing.
So I wonder if
Interesting.
So okay, I mean, I'm going to stick to what my theory on this is. I think.
You're on point.
The gummy thing is
You're on
more
point.
than anything else. It's like
It's the most brilliant thing you've ever said. Listen, no,
Pretty
no,
much.
No, it is.
dishwasher thing was pretty.
That was good. That was good. But this is brilliant. You know why, dude? Because this is the trainer mind, right? What's the most? I just said it. What's the most important thing for a trainer or
Adherence.
coach? Adherence. So I could have the best supplement in the world, but if you don't take it consistently, it doesn't matter.
Which, by the way, studies show like how inconsistent people are better at giving it to their dogs than themselves.
Nobody takes supplements consistently except for supplement fanatics like me. Nobody does. But you put it in a gummy that kind of tastes good,
Yeah.
and then people all of a sudden are consistent.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah,
I
dude.
think you're going to see more and more.
It's weird. Isn't it weird that it is Sal? Is there any?
No, I don't think there's a study.
No. I was gonna say, is there anything that like does it degrade the quality of you getting it? Like, is
No.
it because it's in a gelatin? Does it
No.
not
Yeah.
get absorbed as well?
The only
'Cause you're eating it
downside,
and it's not in a pill
the only
form.
quote unquote downside is it's going to have some like a couple grams of sugar.
Oh, who cares about that?
Yeah, which here's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get here's what you're gonna get. The supplement fanatics who don't care.
the health
They'll
zealots
take
hate it,
15
yeah.
pills a day, like me, or gonna be like, ooh, I don't want 2 extra grams of sugar. It's not for you, bro. It's for people who have trouble being consistent with supplements. And when you put it in something that tastes good like that, okay, 2 grams of sugar, big deal. But you're consistent taking it. And no, it doesn't degrade the what's in
So it doesn't.
No.
Yeah, I thought maybe it had something to do with that
No.
because it's fascinating to me that the supplement industry is bare, and I guess it isn't because there's like we have at our house, but it's mostly kids that have been marketed.
That's how it
to the-
started.
Yeah. Like Max
Now
is-
adult stuff is
yeah,
in it.
all of Max's like stuff that he has to take. Most all of it is like gummy form of all his vitamins, and so and you find me taking them sometimes, and I'm like, why haven't we done this for adults? And I just assumed that the quality was degraded.
Yeah, it was
or
like the
something.
elderberry ones. I remember eating those
Yes.
quite a bit.
All
but
the
then-
time.
Yeah. And then, but there was no other option. That was like the only one.
They make vitamin C like that. I've seen
If you
vitamin
look
D
at the
like
data,
that. I've seen the
look at the data
elderberry
on-
like that.
Look at the data on prescription medications. The biggest problem that they have to overcome
is adherence.
Adherence.
Yes.
Doctors will tell you this all day long.
People
It's
give it
getting
to
my
their
patients-
dogs better than themselves.
They
That's-
do. People just don't like to have to take 5 pills in the morning or 3 before lunch or 5 before going to bed, and
Yeah.
they're not
like
consistent.
alarms and little like containers.
Listen, I
and
just
stuff.
talked to
Yeah.
somebody. Who was it that I talked to? It might have been a call. I talked to somebody, a woman, about taking creatine. She's like, "Oh yeah, but I had it, but then I went on vacation and I forgot or whatever." I've talked to so many people, especially a supplement like creatine, because it's a powder. That's even less likely that someone's going to take.
Right,
is
you're gonna mix it.
pour a tasteless
Chalky
powder in their
powder.
face.
Yeah, that's
You know what I
a
mean?
tough one to keep
Absolutely.
doing.
So anyway,
Crazy.
all right. Shout out. Who's the shout out for
Truckee.
today?
We're going to stick to the Truckee thing.
Mind
until,
Pump NCI. If you're a trainer or a coach and you want real coaching from us, one-on-one almost. It's like 5 people.
Intensive deep dive.
Like it's not a crowd of people. It's like you and 4 other people. We will go in, break your business down, help you become successful, hang out with us, dinner with us, work out with us.
Chop it up.
But more importantly, we'll help you build your business. mpnci.com.
Up at our Truckee
No,
house.
it's mindpumpnci.com.
mindpumpnci.com. If you go to plunge.com, what you'll find are cold plunge devices that work in your home, clean your water, and maintain a cold temperature. They have some models that are easier to afford and some that are just like Cadillacs. Now, cold water therapy is great for regulating your hormones. It's anti-inflammatory. It helps you with recovery and it rejuvenates the body. There's lots of studies showing the health benefits of cold water therapy. And with Plunge, It's easy and clean. You don't have to fill it up with water and ice every single time. It takes care of that for you. Go check them out. Go to plunge.com. Use the code MINDPUMP. Get $150 off. All right, back to the show.
Our first caller is Jen from Virginia.
Hi, Jen.
How you doing?
Guys.
How can we help you?
Hey, thanks for taking my question. Just want to say I appreciate you guys. I listen to you a lot and probably got into strength training because you all gave me courage to go into the gym and figure it out.
Awesome.
So,
Rad.
Good job.
yeah. So I'll jump into my question. I wrote it back in February. So back then I said I'm a lifting newbie. I probably am still a newbie. I've been consistent about a year with lifting. And my bottom line question is just that I feel like I'm not seeing as much progress as I would like to see. And so I'm wondering if I'm doing something wrong. Or is it really this slow? Is kind of my question. So I started lifting last June, 3 times a week. Started with the sticky note program. You might be familiar with that. And I lost, and I also I did a cut, I guess, went down to about 1,500 calories. Over the course of probably 3 or 4 months, I lost about 7 pounds, went from 32% body fat to 30%. And that's just with one of those, I don't know what they're called, but you hold on to them in the gym kind of thing. Lost an inch or 2 here or there. And then I started anabolic and I thought, okay, anabolic, I'm going to, MAPS anabolic, I'm going to, be able to build some muscle here. And so when I finished in February, I went back in, did the body fat percentage test, and it was exactly the same, 30%. And I was like, man, what's going on? Why did that not go up? I was same weight. I was able to maintain the weight loss with very little, worries about what I was eating. I mean, I've been eating 140 grams of protein, and upped my calories. And so anyway, this is kind of where I'm at. I have since then started, I'm on the first week of Muscle Mommy, and I've been enjoying that. But just wanted to see if you guys have any advice for why I don't even know if that body fat percentage matters, but my real goal is just to gain muscle mass so that, I'm 48 years old. I want to be able to eat, and enjoy my food as I grow older. I want to be active. I love being strong. But I'd love to see my waist go down a little bit in inches, and I'm just not seeing that. So that's my main question.
Did you, when you were at the 1,500 calories, you moved them up, correct? Do you know what you brought them to, and how long ago did you bring them up?
Yeah. So I stuck with that from June to November, and then I moved them up to probably about 1,900. I think right now I haven't been tracking specifically since February. But I'm probably between 1,900 and 2,000, and I haven't gained anything.
Okay.
And so
you went up calories. You're eating consistently though protein, correct? The 140, you said 140 grams.
Yeah.
You haven't gained any weight with an additional 400 to 500 calories, which by the way is a very positive sign metabolically. The best way to measure if you're moving in the right direction with muscle is strength. Have you seen any changes in strength? Are you stronger? Are you getting stronger consistently? What does that feel like?
Yeah, I think I do think that I've been getting stronger. I've heard you guys talk about how women sometimes don't push themselves as hard as men in a workout.
Yeah.
And I relate to that. I think that I have some, for example, I was doing squats pretty regularly, but I wasn't able to load higher than about 140 pounds And so I thought, well, maybe I need to work on my forms. Then I was working on my form a little more. And that's where it just started to break down, and I didn't seem to be able to push, but I work out by myself.
Mm-hmm. Where did you start with squats? Can you give me some idea of, like,
pretty good weight, by the way.
By 140 pounds, by the way, that's a really good squat. Where did you start, and where are you at with, let's say, squat, deadlift, presses?
Well, I mean, I started at the basically at the bottom, because I wasn't, I started a year ago and I didn't know what I could do. So I think I probably started at like 80, and then I was just adding 5 pounds every week for a while there. And then I've just hovered between like 120, 140 since then.
Okay. You're doing good.
Yeah, I think you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
I want to comment a little bit on how you open this conversation with, is it really just this slow? And the answer is it kind of is, yes. Like, it's a lot like investing. And when you first start saving for retirement or saving for your future, and you put the first $100 away, and it's like, this is not going to take care of me for the back half of my life. And, and you do the math, and it seems like it's going to take forever. It's a lot like that. But the cool part, just like investing, is it's compounding. So as you start to stack the months and the years of consistently lifting, it does get easier. It does seem to get faster. But that initial, year or so of really, and especially when you're kind of feeling out, can I push myself a little more? Is that not like, am I doing this right? And you're kind of, a lot of that is that learning curve. And so you're going through that process. I think you're doing a lot better than you think. I think we would probably benefit, with more calories. I think that if you wanted to see, and that is getting over that fear of, oh my God, bump my calories more, and my goal is to get my waist down. That feels scary or sounds scary. But you have to understand, as you start to get more comfortable with pushing yourself in lifting weights and sending a good signal to build muscle, we have to give it adequate calories in order to do that. Otherwise, you're just burning off what you're getting, and you're not giving it additional calories to go and build muscle. And if you're kind of like not really tracking diligently, but you're staying about the same, what might be happening is you have a couple good days of being in a surplus, and then the body wants to build, but then you go down into a deficit. Now it's trying to cut. And so you're doing a good job of kind of maintaining your health and strength and seeing good results there. But I think if you wanted to accelerate the amount of muscle that you put on, which then in turn will accelerate the waist coming down and fat loss, it would be probably encouraging you to push the calories a little more while pushing the strength like you're doing that.
Yeah, I think so. Just so you know, and the math doesn't always work out perfectly like this, but just so you get an idea, if somebody were to add 500 calories to their diet, they could expect to gain about 3 or 4 pounds of body fat a month. So the fact that you didn't gain anything tells us you're definitely doing a good job. Your metabolism's better. If you're stronger, you're doing a good job. And then there's other things you want to pay attention to as well. Mobility, energy, sleep, libido, skin, hair, nails. All of those will tell you if you're kind of moving in the right direction. And yes, progress can be slow. But one thing that I think will help you a lot, just based off of the way you're communicating strength training to me, you would be the perfect candidate to work with a personal trainer, at least for a period of time, to get the feel of what it's like to push yourself properly, to push yourself properly with intensity and strength. Because I mean, I had so many female clients that, like you, they worked out for 6 months on their own, a year on their own. Then they would hire me, and I would add 20 pounds to their lift the first workout, not because I made them instantly stronger, but because they greatly underestimated their own strength. They were afraid to push themselves. And as a trainer, I have that eye, and I know, okay, we can add more weight. Your technique is good.
It's a mindset that you have to work on and develop. And I think that a coach really will help you to kind of, figure that out and really feel your way through that. So.
Yeah. So I would look for, if that's feasible for you, I would look for a trainer who'd be willing to train you once a week, because you're working out 3 days a week, and really all you need is once a week to kind of get that, that feel. Maybe for 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. Look for someone with a lot of experience. Look for someone who's trained people for a long time, who also has understanding of correctional exercise. And a red flag is someone that doesn't do a good assessment, and a red flag is someone who beats the shit out of you your first workout. Like, you should feel like, oh, okay, I got some out of this, but not like you're crawling out of the gym. So then you got someone good who can coach you, and then what they'll do, because those big lifts, squats and deadlifts and overhead presses and bench presses and all that stuff, they're very technical. And when you learn how to push them appropriately, once you get that feel for it, then you could take that with you after you're done with your trainer and you're no longer with them.
I almost want to give her a power lift though too, so you can just focus on those like core compound lifts and really just like feel your way through that, you know, and start really, you know, intensifying the loading sequence and getting that adequate rest. So it's like you have to just have that mentality in that style of programming completely, and just focus on that for a while.
I'm going to go back though to what originally I said too. It's important that we do this in a caloric surplus though, because that will really dictate the progress that we see. I mean, if we continue to load the bar and push ourselves weight wise, but then we're in this caloric deficit, the results are going to be really slow as far as seeing the muscle gain. And a part of that is just the psychology of getting over like, man, this feels like a lot of food or more than I'm used to, or, oh God, the scale went up 1 or 2 pounds. And that's also where I think a good trainer will serve you well, because hopefully he or she will be kind of reminding you, no, you're doing great. Like, I don't care that the scale went up 1 or 2 right now. What I see going on with you, and so a good coach will recognize and see that along that process. So I'm in the same camp as Sal. I think you'd get a lot of value if that's something you can invest in, even if it's just for a short period of time, 2-3 months, 1 time a week. I think it'd be one of the best investments you ever do, especially if this is something this is important to you, like it sounds like it is. And by the way, too, you look incredible. You look very healthy. So I wouldn't have guessed
your age.
Hey,
you look a good 8 years younger than me.
Yes, for sure. So you look like you're doing well for overall health, but it sounds like you want a little more. And that's kind of the conversation we'd be having if you were my client. It's like, hey, I'd be reminding you how well you're doing, because I think you're doing a great job. But if you're asking me, hey, could we ramp this up or could I see more? These are the things that come to mind to me. Is I think we could stretch our calories a little more. I think we could start to push the weights a little bit more. And then I think that's going to help build the metabolism.
I'm looking at your notes here, Doug, if you don't mind scrolling down a little bit. There's a couple things that I think we haven't said here. First, it says your husband's noticing changes. This is a good sign. You know, I tell this to both husbands and wives or people who have long-term partners, is we often don't notice the things in ourselves, and then we dismiss what our partners say because we often think they're just trying to make us feel better. But I can't tell you how many times I trained clients, and this is even more true for women, and I wouldn't let them weigh themselves, no scale, no nothing, and they'd come to me and be like, "Oh my God, my coworkers keep saying I'm losing weight. Everybody says I keep looking better." Then I'd weigh them, 60 days later, and the scale barely moved, and then they'd, "Oh my God," I'm like, "No, you do look like you lost weight. You just built muscle and lost some body fat." So. What are the changes your husband's noticing? Is he noticing different shape and to your body and firmness and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely noticed some of those things, and it's not that I don't notice them, but I feel like it's just so hard to get past.
Oh yeah,
it's not very objective.
Yeah,
and so you look at those numbers, like I thought, okay, well, like let's not pay too much attention to the scale. But then I was looking at the body fat percentage.
Yeah.
And that wasn't moving. I think that kind of made me go like, what am I doing?
So so that you know, so electronic impedance is all the body fat testing ways is the least consistent. So I can make my body fat, literally I've done this. I can make my body fat percentage go up or down by 3 or 4% in the same day, just by changing my hydration and stuff like that. So what you want to do with those is if you do body fat testing, you want to control all the controllables as much as possible. Same time of day, same amount of water, same food. And then you want to look at the trends. So after you do 2 or 3 or 4 tests, is it moving in a particular direction? And never really rest any of your, how well you're doing or not off of one test.
Yeah.
It's not because those things can be so up or down. Like I said, by 3-4%. In fact, the margin of error is even more than that.
Yeah, you're really you're less about the actual percentages, as it's more about the trend, right? So like I recommended that we increase your calories. So let's say you go, okay, Adam says I should do that. I'm going to try adding 300 calories. I'm going to take a body fat test 2 weeks later, and then I'm going to see the number. I'm not going to care what the number is, because all I'm saying is that there's my benchmark because I've been doing this now for 2 weeks. Then I'm going to continue on doing the 200 calories for another 2 weeks, take the test again. And if I see this trend that it's continuing to go up, okay, maybe I overdid it. Or if I see this, like it's been staying the same, I'm in a good range of calories. Or maybe I hit it perfect and I actually see a little bit of reduction in body fat while I also increase. That means I hit a home run on the amount. But so you're using the body fat test to kind of gauge these tweaks that you're making in your program. program, less about like, it says I'm this percentage. It's like, well, those things can be way off. And it's less important for that. It's more of a nice tool to utilize to give you more feedback of, I think I'm doing the right things by doing this. Let me make sure by testing every 2 weeks for a couple months. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm on the right track.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're doing a great job.
You are doing a really good job. The more we look at these numbers, the more
I'm looking at Doug scrolling down in your notes. I think you're doing really well. Your strength is really good. Yeah, you're doing really good with your strength, the lifts that you could do. Stay the course. I think a trainer would be very valuable just for you to get that feel like, okay, this is what it feels like to push myself appropriately with this particular exercise. And this is what it's supposed to feel like when I, drive hard on a bench press or on a row. And then that'll just take things to the next.
Jen, are you in our private forum?
No.
I'd like Doug to put you in our private forum too. So I'm gonna have him put you in there so we have access to you. And then now you have the ability just to reach out to us.
Do you take any supplements?
I started taking, let's see. I do use protein powder probably once a day, just because I can't seem to eat, just to get up to that 140 level. And I take, some vitamins.
Do you take creatine?
Oh yeah, actually I started, and then we went on a trip, and I didn't start back up again about a week ago. So yeah.
Yeah, good. Creatine will do well. I would stay on creatine for the strength and then the subsequent fat loss that it assists in, but it's just good for you anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's great. I love that. The idea of being in the forum. Also, just, it's helpful to hear you say that I should bulk. I think for a while there, I was like, well, if I'm just lifting and then I'm maintaining, maybe I'll do the whole body recomp thing, but that didn't seem to be, I don't know. I guess it's
Jen, you are doing that.
You are doing that. Just a way slower.
Just so you are doing that. Like if you're my client, I would tell you, great, we're doing great work right now. But I also understand this, like, man, I'm putting all this work in. I wish I could see things move faster. And if we wanted to accelerate it, we would go on a bulk. Yeah. That's what I would do. But I would also tell you what's going to come with that is the challenge of, maybe the scale goes up a couple pounds and I feel like my clothes are fitting tight, and the psychological part. Now, this is going to accelerate your results. We're going to get stronger. We're going to build more muscle, which is going to build the metabolism, which is only going to help us when we decide to cut again, go even faster. But we have to get over that. Or you can just kind of stay the course of what you're doing, and I do think you're doing great. And sometimes what helps, so with my clients, I would always have them take in the same morning, same time. So like Friday mornings, it was our time when we did this, in whatever bikini or outfit that they want that's like revealing a lot of skin, right? And I'd say front, side, back shot. And I want you to look at that every month or two. And instead of caring about the numbers, compare your months in between and be honest with yourself. Is that version of me in better shape than that version of me? And if it is, we're moving the right direction. And if it's not, then there's some things that we can adjust. If you can go, oh man, I feel like I look worse than what I did 30 days ago and I've been consistent. Okay, then there might, but more likely than not, you are seeing good progress. It's just hard to see it in yourself every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to put you in the forum, Jen, and use it. Okay. Use it. That's a great play until the trainer thing happens. You can a lot of people will put videos of their squats up.
That's a good idea. You can post a whole set of a hard set of squats or something. And then so people can kind of
from video, we'll be able to tell if you're pushing very hard or if you got room to go or if there's any tweaks that we can make. So that's what people use it the most for, is to just kind of, hey, how's my deadlift look? How's my squat look? You think of this, that, and you'll get a lot of great advice from all of us.
Perfect. One more question about the bulk. What would you, how would I go about that in terms of like adding?
About 250 calories.
Yeah, it could be fat or carbs. It could be fat, carbs, or protein. Your protein targets are good, so you don't have to add protein. But if you want, you can. It won't hurt you. So it can come from any source.
Just 250 calories. That's what's making sure you hit your protein intake, which it sounds like you do a good job of. And then at about 250 is a pretty good spot to start at.
It's a good way to do it, just so you don't. I like to tell people, eat a little more of what you're already eating.
Yeah, portion size.
If you're working, if you like it and it's working well with your digestion, just increase your portion size.
I love that too. If you're eating 6 ounces of meat, go to 8 ounces. If you were eating a half a cup of rice, go a cup of rice. Like that's a real easy way to just make the adjustment.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
All right, Jen.
Thank you.
We'll see you in the forum.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right.
That's such a
she's doing great.
Yeah, that's a very common concern. Mm-hmm. Am I moving fast enough? Like what's going on? Why can't, whatever. But when you boil it all down and you look at what she's done, she's doing great.
Yeah. She is making progress.
If somebody consistently added 500 calories to their diet from what they're doing now, they're going to gain body fat. They gain a lot of body fat over the period of time that she's been doing this, 8 months, 9 months.
Yeah.
You'd see 10 pounds on the scale or something like that. But the fact that she hasn't tells us she's moving in the right direction, especially when you combine that with the strength gains. You're doing really, really well.
And for somebody in their late 40s, in only 1 year of strength training, squatting 140, that's
doing great.
That's doing really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. And she looks, you can see her skin,
she's
her
healthy.
hair.
Yeah.
I can tell she's healthy. So she's taking good care of herself and doing a great job. But this is common. I would get clients like this and we'd be going and they'd be like, but this is why I also like the picture thing of like, and not letting them see.
A lot of people get hung up on the metrics.
Yes.
Which,
give me a picture of her in those same exact views, 30 days apart, and I'll be
Then
able
you
to
can see. Look
at your shoulders right here.
I know.
Look at your waistline right here. Look at you could point out like that you are improving. It's just it's slowly over time, and you don't, you look at yourself every day in the mirror twice or more. So it's hard to see that stuff.
Our next caller is Dan from California.
What's up, Dan?
Come on, Dan.
How can we help you?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
First things first, want to give my obligatory thank yous. I want to do a quick shout out to my buddy Jason for introducing me to you guys, and more importantly, thank you guys for everything you guys do and the information you're putting out there. The relationship stuff, the physical stuff, all of it. It's great. I got a girlfriend I love, and hearing you guys talk about your kids and your family and all that gets me excited for hopefully some big events coming in the near future.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So I'll get to my question here. Just a little background. In and out of kind of fitness throughout most of my adult life. I was in the Marine Corps for a bit, and obviously I was in shape for that. Then I drove truck for a little while and kind of changed careers here and there. I was a machinist, and then went back to driving for the movie studios. And so August of last year, I started doing 75 hard. And about halfway through, I started weightlifting and doing that about 5-6 days a week. Doing the running, the cycling, just beating myself up. And around that time is when I really started listening to you guys and realized that was just the worst thing ever. But I was close enough to the end. I finished it out. And then I kind of took a break, kind of kept going to the gym, running and cycling, but on a much lower intensity, and instantly felt way better. And then January, I bought the RGB bundle and decided, I'd gathered enough information from listening to you guys and figured I'd do a reverse and start anabolic in January. So I did that. And I went from about, I think it was 2,700, 2,400 calories, somewhere around there, all the way up to 4,000.
Whoa, nice.
Got insane strength gains.
I bet.
Over 100 pounds on my deadlift.
Wow.
Like 30, 40 pounds on my bench and my squat.
Wow.
Just unreal. I felt like $1 million.
Hell yeah.
And so then I decided to go on a cut, and I wanted to run anabolic again. Loved it so much. I did an 800 calorie deficit. And then, so before I did that, I went to get a DEXA right after I finished anabolic in my reverse. I sent some pictures, linked and dated kind of. And I was at just under 26% body fat. And then I did the cut, 800 calories. I was super rigid on it. Didn't break 3,200 calories a day. Hit my protein and ran anabolic again for a month. And then I went for a DEXA scan, and I lost over 6 pounds of muscle, gained some body fat. So that was extremely disheartening. And then that's where I was kind of confused on it all. And then since then, I did it again. So after that DEXA scan was immediately when I emailed you guys. But following that, I went back to my maintenance at 4,000, 4,100 calories a day and continued anabolic. And a month after that, I went back for another DEXA, and the results were what I wanted. That second DEXA, after I went back to my maintenance, I put on 3.5 pounds of muscle and lost 0.5 pound of body fat. So again, I saw what I wanted, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to go on a cut again, but much smaller cut. Maybe it was too aggressive. And then I only cut 300 to 400 calories this time. And if I was really hungry, I said, screw the cut, and I would eat my 4,000 calories, just kind of going with the feel. And just yesterday before this call, I finished that month-long cut up, and the same thing happened. I lost 4 pounds of muscle and gained 2 pounds of body fat.
So question with that cut period. How was your strength while you were doing it?
It didn't go down a lot. I felt like I was laboring a little more with the same weights. You know, listening to you guys, I wasn't trying to set PRs, but I was trying to maintain the same weight I was doing. And I was definitely having a much harder time than when I was on my maintenance.
Yeah. And you know what the problem with some of these scans are? I know
we're looking at your photos, by the way.
Yeah,
you look really good, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, are you happy with what you're seeing? I mean, it sounds like
I'm stoked. I've never had this kind of like muscle. I've done this is the second or third time I've done 75 hard, and I'm always skinny and look like a teenager.
Yeah, you look jacked right now.
I'm like,
you look great.
Oh no, I feel great. I feel strong, and I'm definitely digging the building the strength and all that. I never really focused on that. I was always just trying to get smaller or leaner, but I'm sure I was weak as heck at those points in my life. But yeah, no, I feel super strong. I love the way I feel. Eating the 4,000 calories a day is no chore. I have a big appetite. Yeah. I do want to lean out. I'd ideally like to get, to 15% body fat, somewhere around there.
You're going to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at every one of your bulk cut, and you each time you're better. Like it is. Like you look good, dude.
I don't think
really good.
Don't get caught up on some of those numbers with the DEXA scans. You want to look at trends, not just single tests.
Not to mention, I'm just not sorry to cut you off, Sal, but I want to point something out. Like you're not a small guy. Like how much do you weigh?
I'm floating around. So this entire time, also since January to now, I'm right at about 240, 235, just right in that window. I don't move in weight too much.
Big boys like us that weigh 240, like we can swing those things a lot because of just hydration alone, because your body holds so much, your muscles hold so much more glucose and water, and those scales can easily be manipulated up and down.
If you lost 5 pounds of water, that counts as lean body mass.
Especially big guys like us. I mean, I'm looking at your photos going, if you were my client, stay the course. You're doing good.
Yeah, I think a 400, 500 calorie deficit is perfect. I don't think it's too aggressive at all, especially if your strength is maintaining and you feel good. I think stay the course. Your calories are high enough for you to cut. So, if you were saying you're at 2,000 calories, I'd say, we got to reverse. But, 400, you're going down to 3,600, 3,500 calories. You're fine. I'd say stay the course.
Ride that out a little longer.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to if you want to keep doing this kind of like up and down. I mean, I think if you stuck to it.
You could play with some things too. I mean, you're in a good place. Let me tell you, a client that has got as much muscle as you do, is eating as much as you are. There's all kinds of fun things that we can do. Like I would even do stuff like this with you. Like, hey, let's do a hard cut for like 2 weeks and then come back out of it and see if you like that.
Yeah, like 2,500 calories.
Yeah, where I'll rotate you. So I'll push you 1,500, 2,000 calories down for just like a week or two and see if you lean out, and then go right back to refeeding you again for 2 to 3 weeks. And we could play that game back and forth and see how that works for you, if you like the way that feels and if you notice progress faster. So you're in a really metabolically, your muscle mass, what I'm seeing on your waist and the muscle you've developed. I mean, in a year's time, or what are we, about a year and a half, or is that total where we're at?
Yeah,
right
coming up on a year here in a month or so.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. Don't get caught up on single body fat tests.
Yeah.
Look at the trends. Give yourself 3 or 4 measurements before you start to decide if you want to change directions.
I mean, you got the pictures to prove it. I know you can tell. I mean, it's
that thing where I'm looking at myself. I'm like, dude, I'm going nowhere. But then I look at a picture from a month ago, and it's like, oh, okay, there's a difference.
Yeah. We literally just got off a call with a lady that was very similar, asking similar type stuff. Like she's been going for a year, and she's like, and I said, and literally what I told her is what you've done, which I'm so happy. Is I'm like, just take a picture every 30 days of yourself. And even, I don't care what the fucking scale and the body fat percent says, if you look at your picture 30 days ago and you can be honest with yourself and say like, I look better than what I did 30 days ago, you're moving the right way,
especially if your performance in the gym is doing well.
And you're eating that kind of calories too. Like that's a good amount of calories to be able to be getting better shape every month over month.
By the way, just so that you know, if you lose, on the scale 5 pounds, but you're lifting the same weight that you were before, you actually got stronger as a percentage of your body weight. So a lot of people don't realize that, like, okay, I didn't lose any strength. Actually, you're stronger as a percentage of how much you weigh. You lost weight, and you're lifting the same weight you were before. In relation to your body weight, you're stronger. That's a really, really positive sign when something like that happens. So keep that in mind, because I think sometimes we get caught up on just the number on the bar. Like if you lost 15 pounds, but you went 5 pounds down on your squat, you're like, oh, I'm weaker. Not really. Your squat is now higher as a percentage of your body weight than it was before. And you want to expect some of that to drop down, not too much. But if your performance is hovering and you're dropping calories, you're losing weight, you're doing good.
I mean, if you were my client for this past year, I would be using your pictures and bragging about what we did. That's what you did is really good. I mean, it's very obvious when you look at where you started and where you're at right now. And I think you did it very methodical. I thought the way you increase calories, even trying the 800 cut, I think that's more of the DEXA scan being off and not being precise, because then you did a follow-up one and all of a sudden you saw amazing results. So it's like those things, we tell people like use those as like a gauge of maybe making adjustments, but don't get hung up on the exact percentage it's telling you, because it's very obvious to me that with what you're reporting strength-wise, what you're telling me calorie-wise, and the pictures I'm looking at, you're kicking ass. You're doing a great job.
Yep.
Okay, I got you. I guess I've just been a little impatient. I kind of want to see some of that belly fat kind of come off a little faster.
What are you talking about?
I mean,
you've lost a lot of it.
Hey, you have, dude. You've lost almost a person, dude.
Stop being so greedy, dude. What the hell?
But hey, you can mess around with some of the cuts, like I said. Like run a hard cut for like 2 weeks. Like
with your calories, you're fine.
Yeah, because you're eating so many. That's what's fun about somebody who's eating 4,000.
Yeah, you can bring you down to 2,500, 2,000.
Yes, I'll drop you all the way down to that for like just 2 weeks. And let yourself lean out a little bit, and you're going to be lower energy. You're not going to be as strong. I don't care about that right now. It's just a little 2 week hard cut, and then I'm going to
bring you back up.
Then bring you right back up, and then see how your body responds. See how you feel doing things like that. You can play with that.
Okay, so you think like moving forward. So right now I'm on I just started phase 2 of MAPS Performance.
Mm-hmm.
So you think I should go and you're saying like a 15 to 2,000 calorie deficit for a week or two?
Yeah.
See what that does, and then come right back to the maintenance.
That's right.
Dan, let me throw you in. Are you in our forum? Are you in a private forum yet?
I'm not.
Okay, I'm going to have Doug throw you in there. So I'm going to throw you in there. Do what I said. Report back in about 2-3 weeks, and then when you reverse back up, and then tell me again. So keep me updated every time you change the diet. And then give me feedback on what you see, you feel, and what you notice, and then we can make micro adjustments together.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I'll cut the 15 to 2,000 calories a day for 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'll hit you on the forum.
Perfect.
You got it.
Perfect.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys so much.
You got it,
man. Great job, man.
Later. I do want to say, by the way, that the higher your body fat percentage is and the lower your body fat percentage is, the more inaccurate body fat testing becomes.
And the bigger of a person you are. Because when those things, they measure hydration. And if you have a lot of water and carbohydrates in your muscle bellies when you go and do that, it's going to show you way more lean body mass.
That's right.
And the opposite is true. If you're dehydrated and low on calories,
lean body mass.
You've lost lean body mass.
Lean body mass is all non-body fat mass.
Yes.
That includes water. They try to separate it with those scans, but there's still a huge.
And the bigger you are, the more you can manipulate that.
That's
like,
right.
I mean,
but again, the more the higher your body, it's like body fat percentage tests aren't super accurate to begin with. Underwater weighing being the most accurate, but the leaner you get and the fatter you are, or the higher body fat or the lower, the more inaccurate it becomes. So keep that in mind too for people. It's like, oh, I'm at 30% body fat. Well, your margin error is much higher, or I'm shredded. I'm at 5% body fat. Margin error is much higher.
Well, too, and you brought up like the strength to weight ratio, you know, and a lot of people don't like account for that. I think that's something you really got to consider. If you're lower weight and you don't feel like you're pushing as much weight as you did before, you got to really, factor that in.
That's right.
Our next caller is Kayla from Minnesota.
Hi, Kayla. How can we help you?
Hi.
Morning.
Oh my God, I'm so nervous.
Me too.
Okay, so I have a script here, but so I've been listening since I was about 18. I'm 24 now. I just have to tell you guys that my boyfriend calls you guys my boyfriends because I'm constantly listening to you guys in the car, shower, gym, literally all the time. He says it's borderline stalkerish, but I'm just really a huge fan. Okay, so my circumstances have changed a little bit since my original question. I had asked how I can program my strength workouts to enhance my athletic performance without overtraining, while also putting in many hours of skills training as an MMA fighter. I think I had gotten excited about hearing Performance Advanced was created with grappling athletes in mind, and I was hoping for a way to a way to do this in a MAPS 15 style to decrease volume. But I have heard you guys tell enough people that you can't have your cake and eat it too. Most recently, a live caller asking pretty much the same question. and you guys had advised him to just stick with maps 15 or simply find more time. However, since writing my question, I have accepted my first MMA fight and am currently about 12 weeks out. So I think I've resolved on getting performance advanced to run in a bulk after my fight. But now my question is, how should I schedule or program strength training the next 12 weeks while I'm cutting about 10 pounds of mostly fat and another 5 to 8 of water before weigh-ins? Obviously, my priority is skills training, and I know I'm even more prone to overtraining now while in fight camp. But I still want to make sure I'm still signaling my muscles so I can maintain as much strength and muscle as possible throughout this process. I've listened to the Corey Schlesinger, I'm going to butcher that last name, but the Corey Schlesinger episode a few times, the Phil Drew episode and Brian Kula episodes, and try to implement things from that. But overall, I'm just kind of intuitively training based on my recovery and performance that day. But yeah, how should I program my strength training sessions over the next 12 weeks before I'm able to commit to running performance advanced as it's laid out?
I am so glad you reached out and we got you here at the 12-week mark before your fight. One of the biggest mistakes that athletes make leading up to a competition is oh God, I got 12 weeks. I need to get X, or I need to go to X, or I need to get better here. Let me ask you this. So MMA, you train jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you were a beginner, if you didn't know any of those skills, how good could you get in 12 weeks, right? Not very good. Like, you'd learn a little bit, but you wouldn't be good enough to fight anybody in 12 weeks. So there's not much you can do to improve yourself over the next 12 weeks. The goal should be to not hurt yourself. Yes, not hurt yourself, to maintain some of what you have, which very little is required to maintain, to sharpen your skills and avoid injury. A good percentage of athletes go into a competition with a nagging injury, or they're already a bit overtrained. And the people that tend to do best are the ones that understand to not be overtrained and to avoid injury. So your strength training right now should really revolve around mobility. It should revolve around maintaining movement and not allowing yourself to get hurt.
So what does that look like?
That looks like mostly mobility on a daily basis. You're doing like 15 to 20 minutes a day of mobility. And if you do any strength training, it's one lift here and there. Because I know you're training right now with MMA is a lot.
Yeah.
How many days a week are you training MMA?
About 6.
Yeah. So you're not doing any more than what I said. I mean, It might be one lift for 3 sets here or there. Mobility work. I would have you sleep really well. I'd have you take naps every single day. I'd have you feed yourself well. And really, it's all about recovery, And I wouldn't go too far off what your coach is having you do in terms of your skills training.
Can we just point out real quickly how badass you look? Is that credit to us for 6 years of teaching you that? Do we get that credit at all, or is that just all on you? How'd that happen?
No, actually, I have I had a really big transformation. I played college basketball, and I was not lean at all during college basketball, and just didn't perform as well as I should have. But then after college basketball, I really took to heart 6 years of listening to you guys, and I made a huge transformation. I ran performance with a trainer who I ended up firing because he wasn't listening to you guys. So, so yeah, I owe you guys a lot. I take what you guys say as my Bible. So yeah, thank you guys for everything.
Yeah, you look badass.
Yeah, you look amazing.
Yeah.
And I do want to comment. I mean, in your question, you did say that you tried a MAPS 15 style, but even that, you noticed you didn't have the energy to do every single day. So you're redlining right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty substantial.
What does this 6 days a week of training look like? How long are you in the gym? What are you doing?
It really depends. I like to think I'm pretty good about kind of feeling out my energy for the day. Like today, for example, I have 2 hours of just no-gi rolling, and there's Saturdays usually gi rolling and then an MMA practice, and I'm good at feeling out if I can handle the entire practice and cutting it short if I need to. And my coaches are really understanding and encourage that. So I don't know. It's pretty intense when I'm there, but I I'm good about like cutting it short if I need to.
Think of your strength training like this right now. For the next 12 weeks, think of recovery. Think of how you can bolster your joints, how
More
you can
fluid
make
movement.
how you can make yourself feel better. So if something feels off, then use mobility or correctional exercise to fix that area. You're not trying to get stronger. You're not trying to build muscle right now. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen with all the training you're doing. And if you try to build muscle and strength right now, you're going to really
It's going to convolute it.
you're going to cause some problems. So really, it's about. Do you have like?
And you have a lot of muscle already. We've seen
you're
it.
good.
I mean, you got a lot of. Well, you'd be okay if we lost some pounds of muscle. It's not.
I mean, let me ask you this: when you roll against women your size, are you stronger than them typically?
Do you have a firm grip? on
Yeah.
them?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, you're doing all right. So, do you have Prime Pro? Do you have Maps Prime Pro?
I do not.
Okay, let me send you Maps Prime Pro, and here's what I want you to do. In Maps Prime Pro, you could pick 2 or 3 mobility movements in there. Watch the videos because how you do them is really important. The intention is really important. And then use those during this 12-week period. Use the mobility movements during the 12-week period to make yourself feel better. Again, don't try and build straight. Now, when you're done with this fight and you get some time off and then you're ready to get back into training, then you can go through your period of building strength and muscle, like you said. But right now, it's all about avoid. I don't want to feel hurt. I want to feel good. If I feel soreness or achiness in any particular area, let me address it with correctional exercise. And then then sleep is really super important. Every night you would prepare for sleep. So that means, electronics off. You got a nice setup. You're going to sleep for 8 hours. I would like you to take a nap every single day if you could for 30 minutes to an hour. That'll make a big difference with those types of things.
Where you at? Minnesota?
Yep.
Minnesota's where you're at?
Oh, wow.
Oh,
I was just there.
Very cool.
Is this how many fights have you had, or is this your first one?
This is my first. I've been doing a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions, but this is my first MMA fight.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, good for you.
So cool.
Yeah, but I'm telling you,
Also,
go ahead.
Also, I just had to throw in there, I have this like little dream of being the first sponsored Mind Pump athlete. So I will be getting back to you guys after I make some gains with your programs and get a few wins to talk more about that.
That's funny you say that because the reason why I asked where you're at is because I was going to tell Doug as soon as we hang up to get your address. I'm going to send you a bunch of cool stuff. All right. So I got you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we need you to wrap us.
So when we hang up, I'll have Doug get all your info via email as far as like sizes and where you're at. And I'm going to ship you a box. I got some stuff coming your way.
How long have you been doing jiu-jitsu for?
That's so exciting.
Yes, I got you.
Actually, I just started it like about a year ago from now, and everyone told me that I needed to take my time getting into it, but I like fully dove into it, practicing like twice a day most days. And I came up like pretty fast. I've won like my past 4 jiu-jitsu tournaments. So I'm pretty proud of like the progress I've made. And I've obviously been an athlete my whole life. So
awesome.
That's exciting.
It was really easy for me to catch on to.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
awesome.
good. We'll send you Prime Pro and we'll send you some cool gear.
Yeah.
So good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys.
You got it. Thanks for calling in.
Super badass.
How many times have you seen that though? Right? Someone's like, "I got this competition coming up," and then they decide to ramp
you
it.
nailed it. Yeah, you nailed it. There's this mad hustle to like improve. All of a sudden, it's like, look all this work you put in, and now we just need to like make sure you're healthy and you're moving at an optimal level and you're sharpening that skill. Really, everything she's doing in terms of like rolling and jiu-jitsu, boxing, and Muay Thai. Like that's
she knew
priority. Yeah,
she knew. I could tell. She just wanted confirmation.
Yeah.
That was all that was.
Yeah.
I think she just wanted to hear the permission from us that like, you just need to cut it.
You're gonna go in awesome that way.
It's so funny. As she's talking, I'm like, man, bodybuilders, athletes, and pregnant women all have this in common. Like when they, I'm pregnant. Yeah. I have a competition.
I gotta ramp it up.
I have this. I'm gonna get on stage. That's when you've all the work you did happened before that.
Right. That's right.
Now you're just trying to keep yourself healthy. That's the goal.
Totally.
Our next caller is Steve from Indiana.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Steve?
How can we help you?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Hey, I just really want to thank you guys. Over the last roughly 4 years that I've been following you guys, it's just been a masterclass in health, fitness, nutrition, life learnings. Before I get into it, I would like to just call out you guys on a couple different things. Sal, I've been on creatine as long or longer than you have.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
So I know I've got a supplement issue too, just so you know. Justin and I had a shoulder issue probably about a year ago. And then I started getting some Mistt clubs. Been doing those movements, killer for shoulders. Just feels great.
Perfect. Yep.
And Adam, I lived in Oakdale for 5 years in the early 2000s. So
no shit.
We ran into each other.
Yeah, I was there at that time. I was there till about 01. So I was there. And before, obviously. Wow. Yeah. That's crazy.
I think I lived in 03, something like that.
Okay.
And Doug, I'm just here today, so you're not the oldest guy on the program.
I appreciate that. I'm getting tired of all these age jokes, you know?
Yeah. Well, what you got for us, bro? What you got?
Hey, basically, I just want to thank you guys for all the help. Before I found you guys, I was making up my own programs along the way. I was a split guy for 30 years. Kind of hit a wall. I've been consistently working out. Probably the biggest thing that I've learned from you guys is sleep. I always thought, before you guys told me exactly why, that, if you got more than 6 hours of sleep a night, you're pretty much a wimp. So since probably 2000, 8 hours a night, it's been a game changer. The big thing for me is, I've made a lot of progress along the way since I learned programming from you guys, dug into it really deeply. But, my long-term goal is to die at a really, to die young at a really, can't even say it now, to die young at a really old age and stay jacked while I do it. So really what I'm looking for is long-term advice, not for next week, but really for the next couple of decades. Because I know you guys have worked with people, I'm 61 currently, and I'm planning my programs for the next 10 years, and I want to stay strong and healthy for the next 10. The big learning that I've had is, my favorite program by far is anabolic advance, and then I usually cycle that with symmetry or performance.
Perfect.
It's funny because I always hate moving away from it. I'm 2 days into symmetry right now. I'm sorer than I was when I was doing anabolic advance. So really my question centers around, aside from getting the right sleep, nutrition, I get my proteins in. I don't even track calories. I don't know how many calories I eat, but I get somewhere between 200 to 250 every day of protein. What strategies do you have for the next decade or so as I go forward?
Well, this is fun.
Yeah, well, you're obviously doing well. How long have you been this consistent?
I've been very consistent since college. Now, been in business, got 5 kids, life is busy. I really hit it hard right around the time that I found you guys. Kids are kind of out of the house and a little bit more time, but I've been training at home for 30 years. I've been a home gym guy forever, built that out. I got everything I need. But yeah, I've been consistent for a long time, but on the same program. And, doing different modes of training through your programs has helped tremendously. But again, just looking for advice going forward.
I almost want to ask you advice.
I know we said that earlier.
I told you if I'm qualified to give him any.
Well, I mean, what I would typically say to someone like you, which I think you figured out, okay, but what I would typically say to someone like you is to really enjoy the process, because you're going to keep doing this to the day you die. At some point, you'll start to notice performance drops and stuff like that. That happens, as you get older, although we probably haven't seen much now. You're obviously doing so well. But really what's going to keep you going is just the love of the process of what you're doing. Jack LaLanne, he died in his 90s, and he exercised like he did when he was younger, and he continued it. Now, of course, he's not going to be as fast and as strong as he was, when he's 90, like he was when he was 50. But he loved the process so much he never stopped. And that would be the only advice I'd give someone like you, but I think you already do that. It sounds like you already enjoy what you're doing. More specifically and technically, I would say continue to focus on and master ranges of motion, different planes of movement, because that's what's going to yield you the best return as you continue through this process.
Just your active recovery type of movement and maintain that mobility and joint health. I mean, it's going to extend you in terms of your overall comfortable being able to still kind of weight train and add that intensity, but match that with that recovery element. I think you're already doing that. It's just a matter of maintaining that for sure.
Yeah, I think we're all going to say similar things, just in a different way. I do think that there would be some benefit to you, maybe, like, because what you definitely have figured out is you've built an incredible physique. Like, physically, aesthetically, you look incredible. It's obvious you have a ton of muscle mass. And what might be difficult mentally is to be okay with, I may not look as jacked, but I'm going to become really this mobility guy for a while. Or, you know what, let me see if I can perform really well at an OCR race, or, pick up a modality that maybe is a little stretches you psychologically, that because you like a certain way of training, and you're like, I probably should do a little more of that, but I'm not really excited about that. I think that would be my advice when we talk about longevity, because someone who has built the amount of muscle you have, and I try to explain this to people all the time about where I'm at in my journey. It's like, I can go get jacked Adam back really quick, because once you've achieved that, the body remembers that. And so it's okay that I'm kind of longevity guy and kind of like health and more balanced right now. So I would encourage you and challenge you over the next decade to challenge yourselves in arenas related to health and fitness. And that could be meditation and yoga for you. I don't know what that, I'm saying, like things that would improve your overall health and longevity, because you've mastered, in my opinion, the muscle side of this. For your age, to look the way you look, to have the kind of muscle and strength you have mastered that. So to me, that's easy. So now it's like, okay, but have I ever committed to be the total mobility Gumby guy?
Adam's referring to fitness maturity, not physical maturity, but fitness maturity, where you just develop a larger, a wide breadth of knowledge and experience and wisdom around movement, around fitness, around health. But like I said, like the hard part you got down. I think you enjoy the process, right? If I were to ask you,
it's the most important part.
Like you'd probably work out no matter what, because you just like it, right? So you're not going to stop.
The only hack that I do now is I travel on business a couple days every other week, and I quit working out when I travel because my sleep isn't as good. And I crank up my workouts a few days because I know I'm not going to do anything other than mobility when I'm traveling. So that's been a hack that's helped quite a bit. And the other thing is I have no desire to go, and I've ran power lift a couple times. I don't think I'll ever run that again because the risk reward for me just doesn't seem to be there.
100%.
I get up under a deadlift and I'm like, I hope I don't hurt myself here. And my number one goal is just to not get hurt every workout so I can work out again the next day. But again, you're programming, and I hear people call in and ask all these minute details. But the thing that I've learned is it's just really important to cycle from program to program. And as you guys say, keep the mobility part of it. Even though I usually truncate those a little bit, it may be a 12-week program, and I go, I'm going to do 8. I feel good. I'm ready to move on. But it's, even 8, I think is the right answer to break things up. So again, I've never done that before. I found you guys, so greatly appreciated.
Yeah, no, you got. I mean, you're doing everything great. I mean, if you want to increase your fitness wisdom, it's just what Adam said would be the way to do it. It's like, okay, what have I not done? What have I not focused on? And let me put some focus there for a little while and see what happens. And then what'll come out of that is just more fitness maturity and wisdom around how to train your body in different ways, and comfort with your body changing a little bit from here to there.
And like what you've already figured out through the process of like cycling through right now is like, you may go in that direction for, say, a period of time, say 3-6 months or whatever, of this total out of your normal realm of modality, right? Or training. And you go, oh, you know what? Like, that's not what I want to do all the time, because I really love this way of training, but I really like that. And I really like this. And I'm going to incorporate that now in what I do. Like, I mean, that's only real good advice I have for you, because you obviously have, like, if you were a client of mine, I'd be like, yeah, we figured this out. Like, this is you are going to live a very healthy, good, strong, the way you're doing things right now.
Have you run our old time strength?
Oh yeah, that would
program.
I bought it. Does that count?
Yeah, I'm glad you did, because I would love you to go through that, to Adam's point, in terms of like something that's completely new stimulus, a lot of very like unconventional exercises in there that you learn and develop. And this, again, to Sal's point too, the breadth of knowledge in terms of your body's ability to recognize these movements. This is going to reinforce a lot of the strength in those mobility practices you're doing. Now this is going to add load to that. And just to go through a cycle of that is going to teach you a lot, and really not emphasizing intensity with it like crazy, just going through the movements and the skill of it.
No, I'll put that in a future rotation for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think you would like that, especially the lateral stability and the rotation.
There's
and that.
so much there. Yeah.
Yeah. You said you had 5 kids. Do they ever work out with you?
Yes. And the good news is they're working out on their own now. So
Awesome.
that's cool.
Yeah, the reason why I said that is, it reminds me, Arthur Brooks talks about this, where, this is just general, it has nothing to do with fitness, but people who tend to flourish after a certain age versus people who tend to suffer, there's this huge like gap, like, after retirement or whatever, you'll see some people just do much better and other people do much worse. And what he narrowed it down to was the people who did much better taught. They became teachers. They started taking their wisdom and showing someone else. And so that's why I asked if your kids work out with you. That could, if you ever run into a period of time where like, I don't know if I really, this is not as like it used to be for me. You could train some clients or take some people under your wing, and that tends to spark that back up.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
Well, good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to see what is possible.
Yeah, I know. You're a great example.
Are you not in our forum? I'd love to put you in our forum.
I need to be in your forum.
Okay, Doug's gonna set you up for free. I got you. Yeah, this is just so I could show you off and take the credit.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, greatly appreciate what you do. I listen almost every day on my walk. You said OCR. That I think there's running involved in that. I could never do that. I'm more of an SUV. I'm not a Ferrari, so I move kind of slow.
Clydesdale, dude.
You're doing good, bro.
Good
You're doing good, Steve.
Thanks for calling in.
Thank you, Steve.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it. You got it.
Cool guy.
Yeah, I know.
Very cool guy.
Yeah, how funny is that? Though? I wish people knew. I mean, obviously he's extreme. He looks exceptional, but man, when you're fit and older, you're just
stand out.
You're not the same human.
Yeah.
Bro,
look, I have family members that are 61. Okay, that are on medications.
Oh my God.
If I took them on a 30-minute hike, it might kill them. They'd have a tough time.
Oh, that's the age. That's the age of my mom. Like, and it's like crazy to see a guy like that and see where he's at.
Yeah.
I mean, so incredible. He's doing such a good job.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I love the question. Like, I don't have a very 2% this or what. It's like 10 years. Like you guys obviously have trained a lot of people. What does that look? I love that question. And that guy doesn't need any advice around macros and just his programming per se.
Yeah.
More, it's like, hey, that's a really good way to think about this. And the only thing I could give to someone like that is, hey, really trying to move into different, training modalities that you probably wouldn't do because there's probably something there that you could benefit from, and then you could add to your repertoire. Right?
Totally. Look, if you like our show, head over to mindpumpfree.com. We have a free guide that teaches you how to squat like a pro. Okay, it teaches you all you need to do to get a perfect squat. It's mindpumpfree.com. You can also find us on Instagram. Justin is at mindpumpjustin. I'm at mindpumpdestefano, and Adam is at mindpumpadam.